It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most. And we're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. You can email us as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And of course, you can subscribe to the podcast of the show by searching for the KABC News Blitz, wherever you happen to search for podcasts. I'm going to tell you right now, though, if it was ever a day you were considering calling talk radio, today's the day you're going to do it, because I'm having computer issues and I don't think I can play any of my magic sound. I have all of these press conferences that I've cut up. I have all of these interviews that I've cut up, and I'm having a computer issue, and it's my fault. You know why? Because I tried to use my computer to watch a television show from Britain last night, and I think that screwed up all of my system. This is a very delicate thing that I've got here with my home studio, and it's on me. And so now after the show, I get to spend hour upon hour upon hour trying to fix it. But for now, you've got me and you've got you. So if there is an aspect of the fires that you want to get off your chest, whether it's the response from Karen Bass, these reports of price gouging from rentals, whether that's true or not, the lawsuit that's going on in Pasadena where people are suing SoCal Edison saying they're the cause of the fire, even though no true cause of the fire has been determined. Whatever angle it is, maybe you're someone that's still evacuated and you're still waiting to get back. Maybe you lost your home. Whatever it is, now's the time to get on the line if you want to say something about the fires that have been devastating us for over a week now in Los Angeles. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. You're all I've got today. I've got the phone calls and I've got my obnoxious voice. So if you'd like to get on the line today, now's your chance. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, and tell us your thoughts on the devastation that's being on out there. Maybe you want to shout out the firefighters. Maybe you want to go after the looters or all these people that we keep arresting for arson. Let me give you the latest numbers while we have them. We have made some progress, not a lot of progress, but we have made some progress on the Palisades fire. We are currently at 23,713 acres burned. 17% containment, so that went up just a little bit overnight. The Eaton fire, it's now at 35% containment. The acreage has not grown much in the last few days, so that's very good news. That one is at 14,117, but between those two fires, we are looking at least 23 fatalities so far and over 12,300 structures destroyed. And that is where this whole situation gets pretty scary, because there is a lot of talk about rebuilding. Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom can't outdo each other with signing executive orders that's going to cut all the red tape and going to accelerate the building once these disasters are over. And hopefully that happens. But there are so many issues from now until then that we've got to worry about. There are so many issues from now until then, not just clearing out the debris and not just getting everything ready to be built, but the insurance crisis, which we've been talking about here on KABC for over 2 years, is really about to accelerate to levels that we've never seen before. And all the work that Ricardo Lara was doing over the last year that was getting us ready for this may have actually made the situation worse. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm sure you've heard about the California Fair Plan. The California Fair Plan is California's insurer of last resort. And the California Fair Plan has a minimal coverage for very, very, very expensive premiums, but it also maxes out at what they will pay out. They'll only pay about $3 million as a maximum claim, and some of the devastation in some of these neighborhoods, it might be more than that. But that whole fund, the California Fair Plan, which is funded by the insurance companies, but it's still a California plan. It's so confusing. But what you need to know is that they've only got about $100 million in reserves, and they've got about $6 billion in liability just for the Palisades fire, just for the damage that we know about right now. So what do we do about that? Well, currently, the way the system is set up, if the FAIR plan goes belly up, then the insurance companies have to recoup that cost, because the reason there is a FAIR plan is because insurance companies are dropping people in wildfire zones. So now they put them on this plan. If that plan goes belly up, they have to pay for it. Well, what we learned today was Ricardo Lara, the insurance commissioner, who is bending over backwards to give the insurance companies everything they want so they'll come back to the market, also said that they're only liable for about $1 billion of the wildfire damages if the FAIR plan blows up. If the FAIR plan blows up, the insurance companies have to spend about $1 billion, and then the rest of that money, which just for the Palisades fire, we're looking at $5 billion from just the initial estimates, means that we're going to be passing on those costs to every single person who has home insurance in the state. Every single person will be getting surcharges and fees. I don't even know if these have to go through the ratepayer process, but they are going to make it so an already unbelievably unaffordable place like Los Angeles becomes even more unaffordable. Adding to that unaffordability is what is going on with all the people trying to find housing. You know, there are so many people that either lost their homes. I mean, we're looking at, 12,000, 13,000. We also have the people that are still evacuated, people trying to secure any kind of housing, whether it's rentals or whatever. The prices are going through the roof. And there's two arguments to this. The easy thing to say would be that this is price gouging, and anyone that's artificially jacking up the prices because there's that much more demand when you're in emergency, that currently is against the law. But you might have something else going on entirely. It might not even be the landlords that are raising the prices here. We might have such an insane demand for rentals because of the new need of all of these homeowners that are out on the street that there's bidding wars going on. And I don't know what you do about that. I don't know how we get out of this crisis quickly. We keep talking about, once the worst of this is over, and hopefully the worst of this is over today. Hopefully there's nothing else that sparks up tonight, and we can just get to the recovery, getting people back in the evacuation zones to figure out what is left of their lives. But we're not going to have that housing rebuilt for a very, very, very long time. It's already such a stretched thin rental market and a housing market. So things are only going to get more expensive. And it's just, there's not a lot of bright sides to what's happened over the last 7 days. But look, that's my vent for the day. There's been a lot of frustration that you've probably been feeling as somebody that is born and raised here. Maybe you've lived here for several years. If there is something about the fires that is frustrating you, this is your place, this is your voice, this is your opportunity to get your opinion out there on what you think about these fires, whether it's what you think about the cause, the lack of response, what it seems from our local electeds or Gavin Newsom, or what we can do in the future to prepare better. Are we in a situation where it does not make sense to build in the hills anymore because there's very few ways in and out and we're around all this brush? Do we have to plan better? Do we have to change the way we develop? Now's your opportunity to get on the phone. Maybe you want to comment on the insurance crisis itself. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I need you on the phones because my computer broke and I can't play any sound. So get on the phone today and let's hear your voice. 800-222-KABC. Let's start with Fred in L.A. Fred, hello.
Hi. I believe Newsom is entirely to blame. I don't blame the insurance companies. Why would they insure an area that hasn't been cleaned properly and is going to have yearly serious fire problems? The same with the electric company. It's not their fault. If some of their lines drop into brush that hasn't been cleared for years and years, you can have a fire. It's not their fault. Newsom is entirely to blame for the whole thing, and the lack of water for the hydrants. The whole thing is a disaster that he created. And I hope the federal government comes in and takes the state over, actually, until it gets straightened out. Because Newsom and our idiot mayor, they're going to create more problems. They can't do anything. They were supposed to have housing for the homeless. The houses that they were making for the homeless, little sheds, they were costing over $600,000, I believe. They're incompetent. Newsom is incompetent, and so is she, and they need to be kicked out. Really, they should be prosecuted, as far as I'm concerned. What they did is unforgivable. And
to that point, the Karen Bass
I don't blame the electric company.
I totally see what you say there. Thanks so much for the call, Fred. To that point, we're talking about, we're going to accelerate building. This is an emergency. We're going to cut all the red tape. This is the exact rhetoric Karen Bass has been saying since she became mayor 2 years ago. It's the same rhetoric that Gavin Newsom has been saying when he became governor 6 years ago. And it wasn't related to fires. It was related to the housing crisis, the affordability crisis, and the homelessness crisis. Well, they keep saying that was an emergency and we did everything we could for that. And we've seen where we've come from that. Now we're in the worst emergency possible. What exactly can be done to speed up these processes and to make them affordable and to make people whole again? I don't know what we do here. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Your comments on the fires, whether you want to blame somebody, whether you have an idea how we prevent something like this from happening again. There's a lot of emotion out there, and this is your one place to vent, and you're doing me a huge favor because the damn computer crashed. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to George in Baldwin Park. George, hello.
Hey, how you doing? The two issues I have is that if this mayor of Los Angeles really cared about what was going on over here, she could have just turned around and come back, And another thing, too, about our governor, I heard rumors about these fish that he's trying to protect. For what I kind of heard is that he's getting paid to protect these fish. And those are the only two things that that really bugs me about the whole thing. I had friends that lost their homes, and I really, my heart goes out to them and to all these other people that it did too. So that's really the two things that I really want to say. I think that our governor should be investigated about if he's making money to protect these fish, and I haven't heard it on the news or anything brought up. So that's all I want to say. So thank you so much for letting me talk.
Well, thanks so much for the call, George. Appreciate it. I don't think Gavin Newsom is getting paid per se. I think the fish he's referring to is the Delta smelt. That's more about not wanting to get sued relentlessly by environmental groups. And there's a lot of reckoning going on with some of the environmental laws that we've had in the state of California because they prevent things like clearing brush, like having more access to water, which in turn has wrought more destruction to the environment than if we didn't have all these regulations. So I don't know which one is better. There are other states that don't have nearly as many regulations, but we do in order to save the environment and to clean the air. But I'll tell you, the air is filthy right now, and it's going to be filthy for a long time. And I don't know if these policies have really done what they have intended. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Your opportunity to blast away about the fires. Let's go to Ken in Covina. Ken, hello.
My sister and my mom went to the Paradise Fire, and so we went through this whole process of, the insurance, which was really good and actually paid off their claim quickly. But I think what I didn't realize, just kind of watching this go through, is that that all these people didn't just lose their homes, but they lost everything in it. And for the last couple of years, after the fire, my sister had to shop for furniture and clothes and linen and stationery and utensils and bathroom supplies and all those things. And it was just surprising to me just watching all the things that I didn't think about. We're always talking about the homes and thing, which is the most important, but I feel for these people because they're going to have to rebuild every little thing in their life besides just the homes that they lost.
Oh, you have to rebuild an entire livelihood to start from scratch. It's incredibly heartbreaking. I can only imagine what your family had to go through with all that.
Yeah, it was hard because we saw people that lost their lives. There was over almost 100 people that died in the Paradise Fire. And so when they went to the claims process, after all the insurance claims, they sued PG&E, and that was another whole thing that we went through for years and years and years. And the way they did it in that, it was they would prioritize who got paid first. The people, obviously, that lost their lives, their claims were paid out, and then it would depend on, how much your property was worth and how much you lost, and there was renters, and there were people that, down to the line, they got paid priority-wise. So everybody didn't get paid right away. In fact, we're still waiting to get the final payment from the PG&E claim now, and it's been almost 5 years.
Oh, we've been tracking that for years, and what's been going on with that, the fact that some of the victims were paid in PG&E stock, and PG&E still won't make these people whole, and the last person that's going to hold them accountable for anything that they did when they knowingly had faulty equipment that sparked that fire is Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, in the PG&E claim, there was a settlement made where there's a certain amount of money was charged against PG&E, and then the lawyers took their cut out the top. And what was left is what was prioritized and paid to the people from the claim money. So nobody got the same amount. Everybody got something different. Some people got very little. Some people got a lot. So there's no set amount that anybody's going to get.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, Ken, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. I hate to be reporting this, but it looks like a new fire has broken out in Pacoima near Hanson Dam. They're calling it the Kaggle Fire. This is in North San Fernando Valley. We're going to get the information that we can on that and bring it to you as soon as I get evacuation information, anything like that. Maybe this is just in the hills, but that is a horrific area to start with the fires because that is where a lot of horse property is, and that is just going to make things really complicated. So we'll find out what's going on with that fire. We will also continue to take your phone calls. My computer broke, so I need you on the phone to voice your opinion. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your thoughts on the fires that have devastated Los Angeles this week. We're also keeping an eye on the newest brush fire that started near Hanson Dam in the Pacoima area in North San Fernando Valley. As soon as we get more information about what is going on with that fire, we will bring that to you, but that is a very sensitive area, so we'll get that information as soon as we can. Let's get one call here before we go to break. Let's go to Bob and Carson. Bob, hello.
Yeah, hey, Karen Bass ran on fixing the homeless problem, and she just added thousands of people to the homeless roll, in addition to squandering, what did I hear, $40 billion on homeless initiatives. So I think the people of L.A. need to get Bass to quit. And there's an acronym for that. It's called LGBTQ. Let's get Bass to quit.
That's wild. That's an interesting one, Bob. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Look, this is the biggest test that our elected officials have had since they've been in office. And so far, I don't think they're passing. Now, is there anything that could have been done even with better management? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, maybe taking a much more active role in clearing brush, in making sure that when we have these high winds events that we're as prepared as possible. I don't know. There is truth that the winds was so devastating that I don't know what could be done, but I also don't like that answer. I don't want to throw my hands up and say, well, these things are just going to happen, because there's got to be a way we can prepare for this. I mean, maybe we have to change all building codes, that if you build a home in the hills, it cannot have any wood. I don't know. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to get to you. We're going to get to your calls, and we'll find out what's going on with this new fire in the Hanson Dam area. Looks like only a quarter acre at the moment. I hope they blow that one out real quick, because it's the last thing we need right now. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Taking your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And search for us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get podcasts by searching for the KABC News Blitz. We got a full board of calls. I'm going to get to everybody. There is a lot of people that have a lot of things to say about these fires that have been devastating Los Angeles County for a week now. So if you're on hold, stay on hold. We're getting to you right now. Let's start with Dale in Culver City. Dale, hello.
Hey, Randy, thanks for taking my call. Nice to be on the News Blitz again. You know, I was just talking to a building official, a local building official here, and we both agree that the best thing that people want to rebuild is to be able to reuse their foundation. But what he tells me is, like, you need to test your concrete, you know, do a core sample on your concrete and check that the concrete's still good and the rebar's still good. There's a lot of companies that do concrete testing like that.
Oh, that's got to be really important. If you've got a solid foundation, that's going to make all the rebuilding easier.
Yeah, you'll be able to get a building permit so much quicker if you're doing what we call it replacing like for like. And then another thing is you might want to tell the people who have their houses gone is, like, try to see if you can get a dumpster as quick as you can and get whatever you can cleaned up so people are coming in and measuring stuff and, you know, they can get into the place and start work as soon as possible. The sooner you get your permit application in, the quicker it's going to be. And if you have any old plans from the last time you built your house, that would be great too.
Those are some really important things to think about and something we should all have secure somewhere in our house that we know where it is, because you never know when this can pop up for anybody at this point. Dale, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's like, what is a wildfire area? The evacuation zone went all the way up to Ventura Boulevard over the weekend. My Trader Joe's was closed. That freaked me out because that Trader Joe's on White Oak and Burbank, anywhere near the hills. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Augustine in Hacienda Heights. Augustine, hello.
How you doing, Randy? It's a first-time caller. Listen, all this homeless situation that we have going on, it's never going to get resolved, man. It's a kitty cat for this governor and this mayor. That's way too much money. They're just giving it away foolishly to all this companies that supposedly are taking care of the homeless. In regards to the wildfires, I feel so bad for them. You know, I pray for them that they get everything back in order, and the firefighters are doing a fabulous job of trying to maintain it. But we need to get rid of this governor, and we need to get rid of the mayor. They're driving California to the ground, and I've been here 55 years, man, and it just breaks my heart to see what's happened to our Golden State. You know, it used to be such a beautiful place. It still is. We just have a lot of bad people managing it, you know, and I hope this wakes up a lot of Angelinos and a lot of people in California that we need new leadership here. 30 years of the same thing, it's not working, guys. We need to bring somebody in here that's going to have common sense, no matter what party it is. If it's a blue, red, as long as they're running our state with common sense, you know. I just feel so bad, you know. I hope everything works out for the people that were affected by it, you know. And again, hopefully the voters wake up, you know.
Well,
and
I think it's definitely time that we change our, you know, we start focusing on the priorities of the things that are really important. I don't think there's anything more important than making sure we mitigate all wildfire risk that's possible, whether that's clearing brush or clearing homeless encampments. We can no longer wait. This destruction is not, we can't have something like this ever happen again. So hopefully people start paying more attention to who they're voting for.
Randy, I'm driving down the 405. I drive for UPS. I'm driving my big rig right now down the 405. I came off of the exchange of the 605. I look over to the side, and there's a homeless encampment with a fire on. Okay?
Yeah,
so
we see 16 of those pop up a day.
We have no control over these people and what they're doing, you know? And it's
totally right.
It's a sad situation we're in.
Augustine, thank you so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, anytime you see that stuff on the side of the freeway, when there's not this ridiculous wind, we have 7 to 16 homeless fires reported a day. We don't know if that's what started the Eaton fire, or we don't know if that's what started the Palisades fire. But right now, that doesn't matter. We do know that these fires get started. There's been a lot of arrests for arson in the last 2 weeks. I would love to see that going on in the future, because anybody that is lighting fires intentionally can't be allowed, cannot put up with it. Let's go to Linda in Torrance. Linda, hello.
Hey, Randy. Yes, the leadership sucks and horrible, needs to be replaced, but I want to go back to building. So in California, Southern California, we have places with what's called very high fire hazard severity zones. There should be a rule that you cannot build high-density housing in those areas because they're up against wildfires. And these are wildfires that go back to the Indian times in California. We had them back then with the Santana winds. So we need to go back to basics. We shouldn't be putting high-density housing in those areas. But on top of the housing in the building, Newsom went and said, you know, SB 35, everyone can have an ADU. Everyone can jam-pack building and put as much density throughout everywhere, and we don't have the infrastructure for it. We don't have all the water supply and all the electrical upgrades and everything that we need. He needs to check himself. Back to basics. You don't have the infrastructure, you don't build it. You don't build in a high fire zone. There should be no ADUs added in these high fire zones. It's just asinine that he disregards everything to push whatever he's agenda so he can get his $9 million house, whoever's paying him in the back room. And everybody's lives are at risk over it.
Well, and it's such an interesting point, because when we talk about everything they're doing to accelerate building, you're right. They don't take account the infrastructure like the sewage, like the water, or like the roads. Like, if you've got so much population in an area that does not have easy ways to get in or out of it, you have what happened when the Palisades fire broke out and people abandoning their cars, and then the fire trucks can't get through. It's just a nightmare. And the more tax that we make some of these smaller roads, because now there's even more cars because nobody's taking the bus to get to one of these ADUs, it's just not very well thought out.
Well, no, and look at what he's doing. He's suing the city of Norwalk, who is trying to thoughtfully think about how to plan this out and how to move forward with building. And he's suing them because they want to think about it more thoughtfully. And here, not that Norwalk is a very high fire zone, but it's like the density. Do they have the infrastructure? And he's just pushing them. He's suing them. And all of those things, it's like, go back to basics here, buddy.
I think that's a really important point. Linda, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Joseph in Long Beach. Joseph, hello.
Hello, Randy. Hey, I wanted to talk about the smart meters. I've been hearing they might be a significant factor in elevating the fires. Do you think that's misinformation, or there's something there?
What do you mean about the smart meters specifically?
That they got extra radioactivity and they're highly flammable and explosive?
I haven't heard anything about that. Doesn't mean that it's not true, but I will have to look into that. That's the first I'm hearing about the smart meters.
And then the other thing, it's like, why aren't we burying our power lines? I think that would be a huge means and method of prevention that's just not getting done. I know it's an expensive proposition, but I think it's an expense that needs to happen.
I think you're so right about that. And in fact, that's what I was going to do today's topic on originally, is we talk about, it's so expensive to bury these power lines, but the liability of how much damage can be done if we don't bury the power lines. And we don't know if power lines were the cause of either of these fires, but they have been the cause of so many destructive fires in the state. Whatever the cost is now, do it, because not doing it will be infinitely more expensive and more destructive.
I think we don't do it, we're going to lose all the private insurers.
I think you make a good point. Joseph, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We'll get to you next. 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222 as you sound off on your thoughts on the destructive fires that have been ravaging LA for over a week. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I was just explaining to Adam, my board op, how me trying to stream Love Island from the UK to my TV from my laptop blew up my sound card. But that's another story for another day. Let's go to Dave in LA. Dave, hello.
Okay, related to what you're talking about, Randy, the power lines. This is very relatable, and it should be investigated by Eaton citizens. Last year, we had in Whittier, in my neighborhood, 2 maintenance power outages where they have something to do, and they shut off the power for about 5 hours. Well, the first time that I spoke with somebody was a neighbor when that was happening that day. He said the Edison guy behind his house was changing a transformer in his backyard, changing it out because there are too many electric vehicles being used in the neighborhood, causing the lights to flicker. Now, this was from an Edison worker. And then the second time was in another power outage that was for maintenance. Literally, on my street, an Edison supervisor told me that Newsom is overstressing the power grid and that Edison cannot handle it. And this is why this supervisor is moving out. I'm wondering, earlier in a show on John's program, you talked about the Edison CEO saying there was the lighter lines that blow. Those were put out. The power was stopped, okay, on purpose. But then the heavier lines stayed put with the power in it. Well, there needs to be an investigation to see if these this is causing the stress of the power grid is causing these fires.
I think that is a definite thing we got to look into, and the grid's only going to get more stressed over time. The amount of power that AI is going to require, and Gavin wants us to be the AI capital of the world. It's something we definitely got to have a conversation about. But yes, we got to investigate every angle to make sure this doesn't happen again, including what's going on with overtaxing our grid. Dave, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. More of your calls up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We got less than 3.5 minutes here. So if I go to you, let's go to keep it 45 seconds or less so I can try to get everybody on. Let's start with Ron in Southgate. Ron, hello.
Yes, thank you, Randy. No, I'd just like to reiterate also we need to keep putting the pressure to get rid of Karen Bass. She needs to resign. And also, I think what she's going to do, this is just a joke, but I believe she's going to put all the homeless people, all the people that have lost their homes and apartments and everything, I think she's going to put them on inside safe.
Oh, I sure hope not. That would be devastating. Ron, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I don't know if there's enough support to get a recall going for Karen Bass, but I believe the number, Alex Michelson mentioned this the other night, is 180,000 signatures to get that on the ballot. So I don't know if we need to go down that road. She's up for election next year. So Rick Caruso, if you're going to be running again, you might want to announce pretty soon. Let's go to Richard in LA. Richard, hello.
How you doing? Great show, Randy. I'm a contractor and, I study architecture. I come way back with MGM Fire. And this guy, get this city to get this thing rebuilt and as quick as possible. And it could be done. It could be done. Most of these houses are existing. The plan for rebuilding, is there. To me, all you got to do is get the city to get behind a lot of contractors and the materials to build it and get these people out of harm's way and get them back into their homes. Now, this is something that I know how to do. We've got to get the mayor to do it. So get the convention center, get all the insurance company to get this stuff. They got procurement from the government, a carte blanche for the next 6 months. So we got to get it done.
Yeah, and that's very reassuring. Let's get the pros like you involved in this, and let's get to work. We don't have time to wait here because we got a whole city to rebuild. I like that, Richard. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Jeremy in Huntington Beach. Jeremy, hello.
Question is how with all of the evidence and all the information, everything that's put forth, how is Gavin Newsom, how is he not arrested? How is he not indicted? How is he not prosecuted? Because all of the things he's done has contributed to these problems.
Well, it's a concept called qualified immunity, and politicians cannot be held criminally liable for the decisions they make, no matter how destructive they are, if it's an official act. We might want to look into that. It's definitely worth looking into.
And
maybe then we
liable.
could actually hold officials accountable. Yes, thanks so much for the call, Jeremy. Appreciate it. And last word on this, let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, I've been through about 12 fires like this since the 70s. The major difference in this one is that the local and state officials are more concerned about their social agenda, DEI, homelessness, than they are about public safety. And worst of all, the area's biggest newspaper has become a lapdog for these people instead of a watchdog.
Well, it's interesting because there seems to be a little bit of a backpedaling on that, at least from the owner. Patrick Soon-Shiong went on an interview this week and said he regretted that the paper endorsed Karen Bass because we need competence.
Well, it's about time there's some backpedaling.
There you go, Bill. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Thank you all so much. You bailed me out because somebody broke his computer last night. But I fixed it during the commercial break, so now I can play you this Eunice sound.
And anything you need, Councilwoman Park, our team is down to throw down with you and your constituents. Thank you.
I'm down to throw down with you anytime, my dear. Yeah, so last night, my wife and I are excited. We love Love Island, the garbage reality show from the UK. And whenever they launch a new season, they don't bring it to the States for like 3 to 6 weeks. And we needed our Love Island fix. So I logged on to NordVPN. I pretended my computer was the UK. And then I tried to mirror my laptop to my living room TV. And that crashed the whole thing. And then I had to rebuild my old sound card. So thank you all so much. That was a great conversation. We'll do calls again tomorrow. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.